Rolling, you have an agenda up there?
Yes, everybody has an agenda.
You have an agenda, do you have an agenda, trustee? Yeah.
What, we're gonna go ahead and start, this already can.
Yeah.
I would like to call this meeting to order to establish a quorum. Roll call, Leslie.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Here.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillos. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Present.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Present.
Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Here.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Here.
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Yes. Okay, next item is going to be the notice of meeting. Ms. Trustee Ortega, can you read that for us?
Good morning, today is Tuesday, September 9th, no,
September 20th,
September 20th,
Monday, September 20th.
2025. This is the regular Board of Trustees meeting of the Luna Community College Board of Trustees. Notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Luna Community College Open Meetings Act resolution. The agenda was posted at least 72 hours in advance of today's meeting at the office of the president and on the Luna Community College website at www.luna.edu. Any person who requires any special accommodations to attend or participate may contact the Luna Community College president at 505-454-2500 or 1-800-588-7232, extension 1000 for assistance.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Montserrat, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? That's how I welcome everybody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Approval of the agenda, could I have a motion?
I so move. Second.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillos. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Yes.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Yes.
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Yes,
Approval passes, the motion passes. The next item is discussion action item. Usually we would have to have the motion, but I think at this point, since it's listed this way, we'll go ahead and begin the discussion. So this is all about obtaining partners. And I handed everyone a bill for August, I don't know.
That's it.
that's it. That's
Here,
it.
here, here.
I'm sorry. Let's go.
A bill for August, and I have some questions about this bill. Okay, and Dr. Linder, you could probably answer this, but before we go on, let me ask you one critical question. Did the baseball kids get home from the bus trip last night safely?
Yes, they did.
This is the bus that we bought used from a friend of a friend.
I don't know that answer, but it was a clamp that came loose on a hose. And they did Taos Transportation for Taos School District did go out there with the mechanic and they got it fixed. And they actually, they fixed it and I don't know what time they got home, but they did get home.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
isn't there, we don't have a mechanic that regularly checks.
But all of the vehicles go through the annual maintenance, and we discussed that at leadership this morning, and I have not yet had a chance to talk to Chris Chavez, who's over the motor pool. But we will make sure that all of those are checked on a regular basis, but all of our vehicles do go through annual maintenance.
But a clamp, I guess, couldn't have been foreseen.
Well, I don't know, maybe they do need to be changed regularly, and so we need to look at that.
All right, so back to this attain partners. Okay, so I have some questions. First of all, you notice that for August, there was a total for labor hours was 415.5 6.5. And that would equal 20 days each. And they would have to have been working for 6.9 hours a day. That to me is questionable. I don't know if they did or not, but they don't have any kind of laws.
So
I know at my job, when I was working remote, I had to provide a log every day of what I was doing so that I could make up 90 hours.
So they do, so we don't have any of our employees provide a log of their daily activities.
This is not an employee, this is an outside contract, but so paid.
But I did put in my weekly report and I didn't put it on this other thing because I got the information late. So in August, they did, so August is a really busy time. And in August, what they did actually, I'm trying to find where it is right here, under student services on page 3. Between 7/1 and 9/23, they sent out 1,147 emails and interacted with 217 phone calls. If you look at the last page on that I did also, I sent you the Chair Dr. Martinez on that last end. It does list out, and on this other page, they do list out the overall responsibilities that they do on a regular basis. And so when they are, so they're not just answering phone calls, they are processing aid, they are doing compliance, they are doing work study, they are doing satisfactory academic progress appeals, they're processing.
I don't want you to read through that whole thing. That
So
would be
what,
it.
so
If you could just briefly give us an answer to that, and I still have other questions. And Leslie Ann, I had asked that you print out for the board the extension of the Attain contract. I didn't get it. You didn't get it.
Madam Chair, one word, I mean,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, recently, President Linder had approved $160,000.
it was actually higher than that, I was error. It's in the memo, it was, it says it in the memo, if on page. So it was 172,000, I think, and let me make sure that Leslie, did you forward it to Leslie this morning?
172,000, President Linder, and what was
I
that?
CC her.
And what was that, what was the start
And
date
I'll-
of that contract?
7/1.
I'm looking.
It started on 7/1.
That was the extension on 7/1 because their original contract was on 6/30,
Okay, so it was 7/1 to
9/30.
9/30. Okay, so.
I'm looking, Leslie, to see if I can forward it to you.
Okay, let me do that. I have it on here. Sorry, Leslie Ann, I know.
No, that's okay, I
It
will
should
be
be
on the
on
last one, 16 on that to print off the. Contract.
Okay, so,
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
might continue, my. President Henry stated that you. Approved $172,000 contract, it was an error, it was 160 and 172.
No, I just verbally told
Okay,
you.
well, that's fine, nonetheless, that's fine, it's a narrative regardless, not a brief. So Mike,
It's a big deal about it.
it's $12,000. We're gonna count, and we're gonna add, so here's my position. As a board member, to protect the integrity of the taxpayers and constituents and stakeholders and everybody that puts forth their best effort here in the community college. The contract was for 172,000, that was for 3 months, it was from 7/1 to 9/30. That's what you stated. So that tells me that each one of those months was $57,333.33, and now you're asking for an additional $82,000. And that one's $27,640.67, so tell me why the difference in inflow from, how did it get cheaper?
So we are, the plan that we put together on the long page, that's the first long page right here, is that we are transitioning off of Attain. So our original plan was to try to transition off sooner, but it took us longer to hire the associate VP, it took us longer to hire the financial aid and financial aid people. And so our original plan, what we had hoped was, is that we could transition by September 30th. And so what we have given you, the reason that it is less is that we have gone down from 2.65 FTE to approximately 1.2 FTE. So it's reducing about 95,500. And those numbers are on the, I guess which page front number is, they are on the second page. If you look at the bottom of the second page, it will say the extension is a well-defined transition plan. So what we're trying to do is, and I think we can also have VP Romero talk about this if she would like.
We don't need.
I don't think Dr. Brown to speak on
Okay,
this. I
but
think you
what-
speak on this.
What we're trying to do is have a transition plan so that we can take the financial aid consultants that have been doing all of financial aid since the fall of 2023 and ensure that we can actually still process financial aid and do all the duties that are listed on this long page here.
Okay.
And so financial aid reporting.
No, that's not looking good.
So,
Okay.
President Member, if I may, so,
We want to get out of here by 11.
no, I want to protect the best interest of this community.
So do I.
So, again, the first contract is for $57,333.33. The new contract for $52,000, which equates to $27,640.67. It dropped drastically, President Linder, from $57,027, which is a difference of $29,692.66. Why isn't that not in the report, and why is the efficiency so dramatic?
So what we're trying to do is transition off of a team, and if you look at, I know you don't really know in details, but when you're asking me that number, if you look at this page right here, this long page right here, if you look at this long page right here, you will see that we have gone down significantly in the total hours for each consultant, and then what we have outlined. So for instance, right now, Megan Sutton has been half-time working on the SIS project. She is totally transitioning off of that project, and Ryan, our new financial aid director, is taking over that responsibility. So Megan, except for handling the work study, Megan is off the project except for handling work study, so that's a half person. And if you look at the hours, currently, this is by week. And what we're saying is that Jessica is gonna go from basically working 40 hours a week down to 15 hours a week. And then it's gonna, and some weeks, depending on what the activities are, she might be 25 hours or she might be half-time. If you look at Seth,
Why is, if you said Megan's gonna transition, why are her total hours 6?
because she's still doing work study. So Megan is still,
Why is she doing work study? You're telling me that there's nobody on campus that can supervise students that are in work study?
it's not a question of, it is not a question of who supervises. So the work studies do have supervisors, but how you handle work study is handled completely through financial aid. And so how you hiring financial aid, hiring, processing it through, it is a
So
big
there's no one
process.
on campus.
Not right now, there's not. There is not.
This says a lot about our.
Well, we don't have anybody, okay, this is a financial aid duty. A team is our financial aid consultants right now, they're doing everything.
So let me ask you another question. Okay, to total it all, we probably have, what, almost $1 million we have paid to take.
Close to them.
If it's not a million, it's pretty close. In what, 2 years, 3 years, we haven't been able to get anybody to do the job. Well, you imagine if we would have paid 10% of that. Or even 150,000, what we would have gotten for that, but the salary is what, 70,000 last time. By the way, the job,
We had somebody,
the job notice, it's not,
we had somebody.
it's not on the website. What happened? We're not looking for anyone anymore?
We hired Ryan as.
Yes, but Ryan is a remote person, and obviously, if he needs 3 more months of training. I have a question.
President Linder, who put this comprehensive summary together? You?
With Dr. Romero.
Yeah, Dr. Romero is just barely coming in. I'm not gonna equate and push the work towards her or use her. By no means, this.
So I will say-
Hold on, you Dr. Ender, and my question is, why isn't this report stating that there is somebody that can at least answer phone calls, George Stevens more important? You have daily student system operations, meeting, student records, managing disbursements, that's all fine. Complex verifications, essential compliance and reporting, strategic and.
So we are saying, so
What I'm just saying,
right now,
I
we
don't
do.
like somebody.
I did say in my report, and I have stated this before, we have hired a graduate assistant that's working 20 hours. We had last week, the financial aid search committee did interview, and we are looking to hire. And if you look at what the duties of the attain are, is to provide training. So right now,
It's on this other page.
it's on this page under what Jessica is doing in terms of providing training for the people that are answering the phone. So we did, starting in August, have Monty Posta answering the phone, we have Mary Francis answering the phone. We have had somebody in the office in person since the beginning of August, but they don't have access to PowerPages. They cannot distribute financial aid, they are not trained financial aid consultants. And so, I agree, we have spent a lot of money on financial aid. If you look at the last page, this page will show you that in 23-24 and in 24-25, the number of FAFSAs completed went up, the number of dollars spent on Pell Eligible, we increased the number of degree-seeking students working on financial aid, 40 people. We have had increase in numbers and a lot of these things, total opportunity scholarship. So handling financial aid and Title IV funding, it is very, very complicated. You just can't put somebody in the office and say, do that job. You have to have a transition. You have to have a transition. We're on heightened cash monitoring 1 from the Department of Education.
Well, then I don't see how you're gonna distance yourself and stop working with Attain, because in January, you'll probably say, we need another 3-month contract, because you make it sound so difficult at this point.
That's
So
not what I said
necessary,
here.
but
If you
telling us that no one at Luna.
That's not what I said, that's not what I said, what I said is that we have Michael Montoya starting, he has a lot of Title IV experience, he starts next week.
He best.
He is not gonna be
Yeah.
a financial aid director, but he has a lot of financial aid experience. The search committee is interviewed last week. We
Or
for
financial aid director.
finance, not for a director, we're not hiring a director.
We need a director, this other person is not even on site. Am I correct?
He is not on site,
So
we are
we
not
can
hiring
sign
a
on a
financial,
contract with that person?
we did.
Oh, so that means you gotta pay them off to get rid of them.
You,
We need somebody here. We need a director here.
Madam Chair.
We are actually listening to complaints.
Madam Chair.
so,
And as a matter of fact, I have a question for Dr. Romero. Was that financial aid issue fixed with the person, the parent who called that had 3 issues? You told me 2 of them were fixed, but what about the financial aid problem? And I haven't called him back to see if he's happy with the results.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
President Linder, Board of Trustees. Yes, that issue was fully resolved.
Okay, so all 3 issues are resolved.
All 3 issues are fully resolved. The student received a notice for me last week as of the resolution, so that way they could come in and do the necessary steps they need to take in order for that to be resolved. So by all means, if you feel that you go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
so the title, okay, so we have when financial aid, this plan is to transition off Attain, and we will not have Attain after December. This is the plan. And we will still manage to try to keep Title IV, try to keep our opportunity, try to keep our state opportunity and lottery scholarship. I have outlined that. I'm happy to answer any questions about anything that I've put in the memo specifically. We also are getting financial aid audit. And so right now, if we had to get the information for the audit, they've provided some information. Dr. Shields is here, he can talk about that. But we still will have a lot of sampling that needs to be done. We've provided the initial set of data, and then they will be asking for sampling where you have to go in and look at, they will say, give us a certain percentage of these students and pull all this documentation. And right now, Attain is the only person that can do that.
One more thing, go ahead,
Madam Chair,
trustee, because I have about 3 more questions.
board members, my understanding, you just mentioned, President Linder, that they're gonna be pulling data or records for the fiscal, for the FY 24, my assumption, because everybody can increase completed. When this initial contract came forward, and my assumption is in best practice on your behalf, I would assume that you got a scope of work, meaning that it was a supplemental contract or a contract, however you want to word it. Was there a scope of work in there for additional stuff? And because our employees get thrown additional duties all the time. They wear multiple hats around here, and thank you to those people that have committed to the community college and come back.
So they have
But-
actually helped.
So my answer to you is that best practice moving forward, that you will either look for additional verbiage that states that extra work will not be paid for stuff that should be part of the original contract. Does that make sense to you, President?
Trustee Dominguez, Dr. Martinez, thank you
Does that
for
make
that
sense to you,
question.
Board? What I
That
asked?
makes sense. So
I
we
just wanna
actually
make sure we're all on
gave
the same
them,
page.
we have a scope of work. In there, they basically handle anything that's related to financial aid. There's a lot of stuff that actually ends up being related to admissions. It ends up being related to registrar. Because when you're looking at a student, in order to get financial aid, they have to be properly admitted, they have to be properly enrolled, they have to have the right status. And so we have, because of our gents of our system, we have a lot of processes that are completely manual. And so, and then there's also the whole interaction between the finance department and financial aid. And so financial aid does all the processing and awards all the aid, and then we work with the financial aid works with the finance department to actually do that disbursement. There's reconciliations that have to happen on a regular basis with that. And so there's a lot of state reporting, there's Title IV funding, there's the program participant agreement. And so there is, on this last big page, are things that they, last year, because of the FY 22 audit, we actually had to, on the FY 22 audit, we had a finding because of the return to Title IV. So if students withdraw and they got financial aid and they don't complete the semester, you have to return the aid. And we had a finding that of the sample that they did, 3 out of the 9 that they sampled, 33% were not done properly. So we had to do a complete audit of everybody that withdrew for the entire year. So we did do a separate contract for Attain, and with that, and the board approved it, I think, actually. I'm pretty sure I brought that to the March meeting. I could go back and look at my notes, but we did, so we do that, but we pay them by the hour. If it turns out that we get people onboarded and we get people hired and Mr. Montoya is up to speed and we have his expertise from many, many years in financial aid, and we don't need Attain through December, then we will look at that, but I have.
You said if, that's a big
Well,
problem.
so we only are asking for a contract through December. That's it.
Okay, so,
So we have, President Linder, if I may, Madam Chair, so President Linder, we have open lines of communication through the different departments that will suffice Dr. Shields, his team, financially, everybody's working together to be able to, you have a system in place that's gonna work, you feel it's gonna work, President Linder.
Well, so I will say that over the last year and a half, I have met with Attain, with the VP of instruction and with finance at least once a week. And talked about all the issues. We had the program participant agreement. We almost went on heightened cash monitoring too because of or late audits, and because of the errors that we have in financial aid, our FY 23 audit had no single audit findings at all related to financial aid. I attribute that to the work that Attain has been doing. Now, I don't think we had audit findings when Michael was here, right? Mr. Montoya, right? I don't think we had audit findings with that as well. But he has not been here, right, since 2021. So we have not, since 2021, the fall of 2021, we had Gail Martinez, right? Gail Martinez was, Gail Martinez was our financial aid director.
She worked here, but she was on city law.
Oh.
She was the financial aid director starting in
Thank
the
you.
fall.
Is that it? I just think it's kind of disheartening to the people and to the staff. President here that we've almost paid $1 million. And we go into fiscal oversight or heightened oversight or whatever you wanna call it,
The height,
and they don't.
they have discovered problems that we've had. A lot of the, so one of the biggest challenges since I've been at Luna that I've seen is that we had Moses in admissions that retired. And we hired then David Lucero, and then he left, and we hired another person as the director of admissions. And then they left, and then we put Savannah in, and then we hired Andrea. And then we didn't have a registrar for a period of time. Jerry left. We had Alicia in that. She wasn't fully trained to do that. We now are happy to have Rachel. Rachel is still learning that job as a registrar. We have Francina that left. We did not have a VP of finance. We had an interim VP of finance. When I came in, Kathy Romero trashed every single file that she had. I didn't have any of those files. And so we've just had a lot of transition. And so when I came in as the VP of finance, I'm learning all this stuff as well. And so we have Francina, so we've had a lot of transition. And so a lot of the problems, Attain has been the one to say,
At a cost of $1 million, I would certainly do it myself also.
you could not have done that. You're not qualified to do that.
No,
I'm pretty.
I'm not qualified to do that.
but there's not qualified, the learning curve, and we have not had it even attempt that, but anyway,
We hired
you made your
Attain.
point, you made your point. I have another question, and you probably
I
have.
have one recommendation, that's in Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I'm asking for, I would like to just say, Madam Chair, that if it's gonna be for 3 months. My recommendation to the board would be open-minded people, I'm just one person from a team. I would do a small percentage for a month and we bring it back month to month and monitor the money. Stay on top of it, Madam Chair, that way, I'm not gonna give a whole bunch of money. And then they just kick back and not do it, and this way. They do what they need to do, and that's it, and President Linder does her part in making sure that it gets done. That would be my recommendation.
What was this divided by 3?
59,000, Madam Chair.
There are a whole,
Go ahead.
there are a whole lot of different things that happen every month,
Understood.
right? So there's certain things that happen in October.
Okay,
There's
so,
certain things that happen in November.
so my
There's things
question
that are happening
is,
in September.
you are fairly sure that you're gonna have somebody able to take over in January?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we have people that we want to be on board in October, but we have to get them trained.
Okay.
We have to
So,
get them trained.
how is it, I have a question, how is it that somebody in McLean, Virginia, or wherever they're at, was able to get trained on both systems so quickly to get on board, and no one here in Las Vegas could do that?
We had amazing person doing it before, it's just.
But that person was gone. So they learned 2 systems.
So my understand, so why could Attain do it?
Yeah,
Because they have 20 years of experience of doing financial
but
aid.
they didn't have Gensafar, and you said that was the biggest issue.
No, they had Gensafar experience. They had Gensafar experience. They had power phase experience when they came in. That's why they responded to the request for proposals. We asked for people. So when we had Gail Martinez, this was not me. This was done before there was a request for proposals. And we had advertised. And in fact, we did advertise for a long time for a financial aid director. Gail was hired. And Gail did not have all the knowledge, she did not have the Jensbar experience, and she did not have the Power Bates experience. She had financial aid experience. She had worked in financial aid, I think Dr. Romero, right? I think she had worked in financial aid, she mostly worked in the business office. Most of her experience was in the business office, she had worked in financial aid. She did not have Jensbar experience, and she did not have, which is the software that we use to issue the financial aid.
Okay, the other question I have, look at your spreadsheet, and I can see this real well, by the way.
I gave you a bigger one.
I don't want it.
I gave you a bigger one.
Thank you, but I don't need it. Okay, if you notice, it went from 100 and, let's see, what did they charge the first time? The first time was 130, and in fact, in August, this person charged, I think, 160. Now it went up to 175 an hour. I thought extending the contract was the same amount, same.
The engagement director, so previously, the engagement director is not, it's 135 that we're paying for Jessica and Megan and 115. The engagement director is an attain administrator, and it's only 1 hour to
Now,
actually.
if you multiply one times, one times 175 does not come out to $2,450.
For 14 weeks,
It says 1 hour.
1 hour for 14 weeks.
Okay,
175 times 14 times 1 equals 2450.
okay. So why did that person's salary go up?
It did not.
Between 40,000, the last one says 135, the office bill. 160 for Jessica.
Jessica is number 2, senior consultant.
So this was 105, this one was 150.
Jessica is 135, this right here, 135, 135, 115.
So no one was 175.
Nobody was 175 for that month.
Why? Why are we having to pay 175?
We did
$40.
We only pay if we actually use them, so we didn't use them in August.
Okay.
This is just there if we use them. If we don't use them, then we won't pay for it. If we don't use them, we will not pay for it. So in August, we did not use the 175, we only used the one, Jessica, Megan, and Seth.
Okay, I think we'll entertain a motion.
Madam
Jim,
Chair.
ask your question and.
So, can I say one thing about your month to month?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Right.
That was all I'm gonna ask the president.
Yes, so the town of the 1 to month is the attain is also a business, right? So if you're not, they are right now planning that they know that they're not gonna have a contract with us after December if you approve this contract. They will then be getting other schools that they will be supporting. And so they will not, so if you do a month to month, then they're not sure if they are approving it, it makes it very difficult for them to schedule what their plans are, so that makes it a little bit different, it's difficult.
It's really difficult but challenging in the same sense, correct? And one thing us northern people do is overcome challenges and obstacles. So Madam Chair, if I may, if how possible, Madam Chair, maybe Dr. Romero has something to add to the thing, maybe she doesn't, but I didn't want to be or sound like I was closing you off, Dr. Romero. Please don't interpret it that way. It was simply, I know you just came in and I feel, and I've always protected the women on this board and I'll always protect women, but I will not let somebody be accountable for what they did not do.
So
Dr. Romero,
we
so.
would like that Dr. Romero, I've been working closely with since she came on board and she was on a contract for a short period of time. She has been working with me on financial aid since the end of July. So this is not anything that I have done on my own.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
And can you give brief, because we wanna get out of here soon.
No, we don't.
For like 2 minutes?
No, you speak all you want. You speak all you want, I promise you. Yeah, this is,
Thank you for the opportunity, and I totally wholeheartedly understand the concerns of the board in terms of cost and the cost that it's been costing the institution in order to keep a team. And as Dr. Linder mentioned,
More or less, the cost plus the failure of the
It's not a failure.
institution to find someone to do this work.
Can we let Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, and I, like I said, I totally understand that there has been not satisfaction with the Attain contract currently, and where we're moving, but in my time of being here and working with Dr. Linder, and especially on this particular plan, we are very intentional about the fact that we want to transition off of Attain. That is the whole entire basis of this particular proposal, is that we actually taper off of their support. We're not gonna be billed for hours that they don't work, obviously, and things that they don't do. So if we happen to be fully staffed and we don't need them in December, then thank goodness for that, because that means that we're not paying for the month of December. We don't necessarily have to work through that. But the current things that are happening with us in our division and the things that we're trying to do is in fact hire folks. We do have a graduate assistant who's been trained, who's working on getting her credentials to be able to work completely with the Attain team. She is seeing students during the day and answering phone calls. She is also working with Mariposa, who did some training before in financial aid, and kind of worked on that particular process as well. And the other thing with the Attain component that we have right now for this 3-month period, this 3-month period is critical for us to create what we call a transitional plan. So what we want is for the sustainability of the Title IV program, in order for us to make sure we can transition it from the Attain team to actual on-ground folks, which is actual staff that we have here in the department. I'm thankful that we do have Mr. Montoya coming back as the Associate VP of Student Services. He is gonna help us in those expertise areas and making sure that we can fully staff the financial aid department. When I first started here, that was one of my priorities, was to get the department staffed. We do have an actual person on that has been interviewed as of last week, that's in reference checks right now. So we're working through the final phases to be able to make an offer to that person. We are still also looking at other leads to recruit other staff members to be on ground to make this transition possible. I will just say that from my perspective, if we do a month to month, this is not gonna be good for us in the Title IV program. We risk losing our Title IV program if that is what happens. If we do this 3-month contract and allow for us to have a proper transition plan from the Attain team to our actual staff, which includes training, it includes all of the deliverables, which include information from the SIS and power phase in order for us to help the finance team as well when they're ready for the next audit round. So our on-ground staff are gonna be able to help with those things and do the things that are necessary for us to even run the financial aid department like we used to here. That's what everyone wants to see. I wanna see that too. When Attain was here during the first week of the semester and Jessica was here, I was here till 8:30 every single day this year. Same time, and watch students in and out of the building all day long because they just wanted some support. I have fielded many financial aid calls, issues and concerns related to aid for students because we don't have someone here, and I'm happy to do that. We are happy to be able to provide that support for them. But if we automatically go from either no contract or to a month to month and not have a proper transition plan, we risk losing our Title IV program. Period, point blank.
Which means we will close.
Dr. Romero,
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may. Dr. Romero, like, previous administration felt they didn't need certain individuals. They got accreditation from state and national accreditations, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Butler. Can you state that, so I cannot, what was that national, certificate you used to get, Mr. Butler?
I have 2 national accredited certificates through the National Association of Student Financial Aid.
Thank you. So, previous administration felt that the legal or lack of leadership could not support the support of Mr. Montoya, and now we're gonna put it all on him now too, I mean, yes, I'm getting paid, yes, but I think it's a team effort, Dr. Romero.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
yes, it is.
You don't shit on somebody and then try to wipe it off. You want me to be blunt, it's just, it is what it is, but we need to move forward, but everybody can communicate in a sense that everybody's needed, everybody's a part of, right? And not just thrown in the weeds. I mean, I don't agree with that, and I don't appreciate that, and especially having those accreditations, and this will never be, and his president's never had a financial aid issue, never, not since 2018, since I was here. And it's just hard for me to, throw the burden on somebody else, because we're paying millions of dollars when things could have collectively been communicated and worked out.
Madam Chair, Trustee Dominguez, President Linder, thank you for those comments. I do appreciate that and I do recognize that. That this is a rebuild phase for that. And I recognize that as the Vice President of Instruction and Student Services. I understand wholeheartedly where you're coming from. Yes, we could have done better. But we're back. We're here to do the work, and we're here to do the work for Luna, and we're here to do the work for our students. Because at the end of the day, we know, myself and Mr. Montoya know, that there are students who want to have interactions with people face to face. They don't want to work with people who are remote. We know that our students need that face to face support, and that is the work that we're trying to get through. It is in fact difficult to hire someone in financial aid, because it is a challenge to get that person trained. The federal regulations just surrounding Title IV, not including lottery and opportunity and all of the other grant funding that we get, and the student loan process is in fact quite difficult and tumultuous. So the training will take time for people, but we are committed to making sure that the financial aid department is staffed with a proper transition plan in order for us to make sure that that can happen. Because we want qualified people like Mr. Montoya to be able to be in the financial aid department and to be nationally accredited in that same manner under his direction and with his direction and our leadership going forward. So we don't have this problem in the future.
I just have one last very important question I think is pertinent to the conversation. Do you believe in professional development, Dr. Orman?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. That's it.
Then, go ahead.
My question is to, Dr. Shields. How are we gonna look at on our audits, where we're paying almost $1 million to correct mistakes? That's what I'm hearing. Overall, there's been staff that wasn't on board, staff that quit, staff that's not trained. How are we gonna train? But how are we gonna look spending that much money with a team trying to fix these mistakes that shouldn't have happened in the first place? You don't have to get out of here.
Thank you, Dr. Orman.
If you got some, your scooter.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Associate Trustees. You know, it's very hard from my perspective to, fix anything in financial aid other than when we come to the audit, we must be meticulous in our paperwork and ensuring that, like the return of Title IV funds, making sure that each one of the students has completed everything that is needed, so that when the auditors are auditing, they do not come up with any of these compliance issues that turn into findings. And, hiring and getting us our staff, I believe it will, correct a lot of this. But from my perspective, it's all about getting information returned and supported to the auditors on time so we can get our audit. That's what I'm pushing for. My primary issue is, of course, the reconciliation, because those things were not done. So we have a lot of bank records that has to be reconciled. And with those reconciliations, that's how our balances get moved forward. That's how we can tell where we are. But to answer your question directly, there's not a lot that my office can do until the auditors start the selection of the financial aid files that they want to inspect. Is there anything else I can help with?
What in the process, Madam Chair, would have access to those files other than finance, Dr. Romero, Mr. Montoya, and our team? And here's the question that I think has happened repeatedly here at Union Community College. People hold documents or information hostage. Madam Chair.
I think Dr. Linder should be able to answer that.
Because we should have some sort of backup of information.
Thank you for that question, Trustee Dominguez and Dr. Martinez. I think that, definitely having good records is something that we've struggled with. at Luna Community College in my time here. Although there are certain things that I can go back and find everything on an S drive, we back up our S drive, it gets backed up every night. We have a lot of documents, we're fortunate, we just upgraded PowerFace, we're fortunate to have PowerFace. It does not. It's not integrated with Gensibar, so any information that goes from PowerFace to Gensibar, which is the system that we use for our student information services and for doing the awarding the aid, that is the manual process to get that information transferred. And so we have been fortunate when we look at it, in terms of document record, that's something that we're concerned about. I will say that we have whole departments that have excellent records. The other thing in terms of trying that I found difficult when I came in as the VP of Finance, but I know that it took a while, just even with the transition of Karen Portes in the interim VP role, we had to have a person on the ground employee that was our designated DPA. What does that stand for? Designated DPA with the title, with the Department of Education. That needed to be Karen. Signing off and getting all those documentations, making sure that's not something that you can just call them up and say, this is our new person. And so those are the things that right now, when we're working with the Department of Education, it is a whole process of, we did get Sierra Chavez. She started in the end of March. We did get her into the Title IV system, into all of those records, but it took over a month just to do that. I think probably 6 weeks to do that. There's just, everything is just a lot more complicated, and I will say that if you want Attain to provide a log of what they do every hour, that's time that they're gonna be taking, that they're taking to do the log. When I know what they're working on, I know we go over it, they talk to me, I probably interact with them more than most employees on the campus, except for the people in finance and the people in this instruction business. But what's happening over in nursing, I don't know what that nursing director is doing on an hourly basis. I'm assuming that they're doing their job. And so Attain, I do know what they're doing because I'm meeting with them every week and I go over, and Dr. Rivera was doing that as well. And it was also going to be Michael Montoya. And so I am confident that they are that they're charging us for the hours that they actually are working. When Jessica was here that week, she was here until 8:30 every night, working with students.
Yep, it's.
This weekend, I will say this weekend, I asked her for data. She gave me data yesterday. Last week when I was in Kansas City, I'm emailing her at night. It's 2 hours later there, she's giving me data there. So if I need something, when we were working on the FY22 and FY23 audit, when we were looking for that, if I wanted to say, can you get me this information? Attain answered those emails a lot better than a lot of employees on this campus.
Any other questions? Regarding Attain? Brian? Go ahead.
I'd like to make a statement. My concern is that, I've been listening to, is, and of course, there's no guarantee on anything, but my concern is that we do get out of this, by the end of December. I'd like to, that we do, and, make every effort to get out of this, out of a game infection, so we can move forward. I realize that, we've had a lot of turnover, and that's, it's been one of the issues. So I, again, my concern is that, we can get out of this. I'm trying to agree with the pain, and like that for Romero and Dr. Montoya, and mentioned that we have the employees or the personnel that are gonna come in and work so we can move on and be here physically instead of being on online or the way it works. I'm not sure how that's relevant, but that's my perspective.
Thank you.
Just a comment,
Trustee Dawson.
I don't think that we have a choice, number one, a lot of ways to see compromise any. Like, cut it piecemeal.
Then I would like to entertain a motion. And the motion, as it's listed, it's not specific as to the amount, but I think we need to be specific as to the amount. So I would like to entertain a motion
Did I not put a,
there's a discussion item, financial aid contract extension for Athene Partners, that it could be not to exceed $60,000, which means that which means that eventually we're gonna transition out of it. I feel like if there isn't any push to transition, then in December, we'll be asked to do another contract. I think that if we wind it down, if we cut the amount a little bit, not very much, but a little bit, then there will be more effort from everyone to try to end the contract, to try to transition. Do I have, a motion?
Just for information, where are you pointing out to, Dr. Lewis?
okay, I'm sorry, thank you, Dr. Martinez, just to clarify. I did put a recommended motion on my memo that says to approve a 3-month extension not to exceed 82,922 and a date of December 31st, 2025. And this is, if you look at on the second page, this is $95,503 less than the past 3 months. We did discuss at length whether we could go down to a lower amount. And the decision that we made, Dr. Romero and I, working with Attain, is that this amount is, even this amount is really, really a bare bones amount. And I understand that it is a lot of money. However, we have been able to give a lot of our students financial aid. And if you look at the last page that we provided, we are fully in compliance. Our PPA agreement was approved by the Department of Education. That absolutely was a direct result of the work that Attain did. And so I did provide a direct motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion not to exceed $60,000.
And do I have a second?
Second.
And roll call?
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillo. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Yes.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
No,
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
No.
Thank you. Other discussion items. I listed these because it's easier to have you here and have some responses to our concerns. First of all, is board policies, Dr. Linder. Would you be able to get the attorney to work on some board conduct and governmental conduct policies for the next meeting in October?
I can talk to him about his schedule.
Okay,
And
And then-
board contact and.
board conduct and
also-
governmental conduct, which would be employee conduct. And we also need to decide what we're gonna do about the video policy, so we need him to give us the policy that we could consider. And social media. So 3 policies, and if he gets in a jam, there's a bunch on Clovis Community College, Santa Fe Community College.
Are you recommending that,
We need to institute to put those into our board policy.
Implement policy.
so are you recommending that you want him to come to the next board meeting or? are you-
If he has something, if not, maybe he can, just give us some proposals, we can discuss them, and then if we need him to come, he can come.
So,
So proposals for starters.
okay.
Okay, the other question is, do we have an equipment disposal policy?
We do.
So it coordinates with state policy where you're
Yes.
supposed to go under bid?
It depends on the equipment. So, and I'm not gonna say that I know all of the rules regarding that, but I have been working with Chris Chavez, and Chris has been working with procurement director Justin Garcia, so it depends on whether there's still value. So, for instance, we did just get rid of a whole bunch of cars that had been stacked back here by athletics. And I did sign off on those titles, they did not have any value anymore. And so if there's value to those, then you have to go policy, and in certain cases, it does have to come to the board. But anything that we've gotten rid of so far, we have been able to dispose of. I think Jeff, we've managed to dispose of that under those policies as well, because they're of the value of that item. And if they're over $5,000 or not, depending on the equipment.
The reason I asked is because in Nora, they have about 20 old cars and they got $30,000. But
So-
they did it by bid, they did it on the website, and they did it legally.
My understanding is that from talking to Chris Chavez and Justin Garcia is that everything that we have done has been legal, and I've asked that question. I did understand that the vehicles that we have stored out here, that they previously, the automotive and collision actually had taken out anything that they could use from those vehicles. And so that there really wasn't any value in that. I did talk to Chris about, some other ones that were doing that, but I can definitely, if you feel like I'll double check with Chris to make sure, but I have asked that question of whether we're following that policy.
President, do you know if a division paper sent to the state auditor with those vehicles to take them off the property, things like, is that part of the policy that's done so that just for in case we get audited, we're on top of things?
So that is one of the things that Chris does on all of our fixed assets, is he works really closely with the finance office on all fixed assets, and so that's part of the audit process as well. That we look at all of those items.
That's a good practice right there, to make sure that we don't get deemed on it in the future.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, yeah, you know what, Dr. Linder, I tend to disagree with the way that it happened. I mean, I agree with Madam Chair that they should have been a little bit of an option process just to make a buck, either for the foundation or just for the college itself. I mean, as gone as they were, still might agree with Madam Chair that you still would have made a buck on it.
I think if you take them to
I
practice.
just hope that it doesn't backfire on us of the process of it. I hope everything was legal. Thank you.
Any other comments? Then the last thing I wanted to call to your attention is I had a phone call that someone had gone, and this is elderly people, what can I say, to the wellness, facility, and that there was nobody on site. And I worry about that, because if that person would have fallen, gotten hurt, and there was no one there, that would have been a huge liability issue for them. So all the time that it's open, are you sure that there's coverage?
Madam Chair, I think that that's a good concern. I also have that concern. And I can definitely, we have security cameras over there. So we have security cameras at the entrance. So if there is a certain date that somebody's not there, I can definitely follow up and make sure that we have somebody on site at all times.
Thank you. Any other concerns, any other discussion items from the board?
Would you, in that proposal for board stuff that you also put in, I don't know if President Linder currently has signed or will sign it for conduct for your future governmental contracts and stuff, Madam Chair, I think it is best practice to use that. It's a vetted thing with if they come in contact with a vendor or somebody that they disclose that to the board.
Like a conflict of
It's
interest.
not, it's permanent that we follow them and have this.
I think all the board has signed a conflict of interest, am I right?
Board, and the president, I don't know if the president.
Trustee Medrano, you haven't signed a conflict of interest, have you?
Not that I
Not to mention already.
Then, Leslie, could you make him one and next meeting have him sign it, please?
And
All the
also-
rest of us have, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's ordinance.
That's the same one,
It's the same one.
it's ethics and conflict of interest.
So trustee, that I you can violate that until you sign it.
Uh-huh, I don't think so.
90 days.
Now we're going to the galaxies again.
Madam
Don't you
Chair,
wanna be there?
I'd also like to add to President Linder to the board stuff. Maybe the attorney can give us a class on, court sanction and reprimands, and, I'd really like to have that information and experience.
Or directives?
Directives would be fine. You as well, Madam Chair, can call the attorney and you can plan, you know that, right?
Yes.
Okay. just Clarify. You don't have to go to the president has to go. to the attorney.
However, in this case, I think it's, better for her to take this information and
Thank you, Madam Chair.
give it to the attorney.
Chair, Dr. Martinez and trustee Dominguez, I'm just trying to make sure, so I wrote down the governmental code of conduct. And then I also wrote down that you wanted a training on board sanctions and reprimands,
Yeah.
and so just what they would look like, or what?
Examples, that's, that we could follow over, you got a board member that's out of line or that causes malfeasance or is unethical, then the only one we can remove a board member is, attorney general. You have to write a letter to them, and I know some, a lot of it, but I'm not going to it, so I'll let the attorney verify it. Verify that information, thank you.
So perhaps we need to do this first, have him do some policies. And then we call him in to give us that training.
That'd be fine.
That would include the board conduct, the governmental conduct, conflict of interest, sanctions and reprimands. Or directives.
Code of conduct, but then in the code of conduct, video.
So
Social
video
media,
policy
video policy,
and social media.
social media,
Doesn't matter.
board sanctions and reprimands,
Yes.
Very important.
conflict of interest.
Yes. Thank you. Anything else to discuss? Then, I would like to announce date and time location of next BOT meeting is Tuesday, October 14th at 10 a.m. And you will be here, Dr. Dinder.
Yes.
Okay. And adjournment.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phil Martinez.
Motion by Rosalie. No, second, I'm sorry. Okay, good.
Sorry.
Second by
You're way ahead now.
Yes, and
Seconded by Secretary Dominguez.
Dr. Dominguez.
thank you.
Dr. Russ.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phil Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Martinez. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Yes, madam.
Thank you.
Trustee Dr. Rivera.
Thank you for bringing it.
Trustee Romano Petrano.
Yes.
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Margot.